All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering the top 10 weapons to be using after the update here in Season 4. A lot has changed. I'm going to be honest. This list is going to be drastically different from my last one, and you're definitely going to want to watch this one all the way through to get my best personal setups. Keep in mind, your list could technically be different than mine. A lot of Call of Duty is going to be preference-based weapons and preference-based attachments, but think of this more as a guide if you're struggling with certain kind of weapons. Let's jump into the attachments here. So starting at number 10, we're going to have the STB 556. So the STB was once a meta weapon in the very early goings of this game because of the aggressive attributes and the lack of damage range drop off. Since they nerfed the weapon back in Season 1, the damage range tends to be the biggest problem. It's less like an assault rifle, but the way I have this built out is going to maximize your damage range, but it's still going to be very effective at both close and medium range while keeping your recoil nice and low. Let's get into it. So for this one, we're going to be starting with a comb, and that's going to be the FTech C11 riser for sprint to fire speed along with aim down sight speed. Like I said, we're keeping the mobility high with this one. So this is one of those attachments you're definitely going to need. Your tuning here is going to be plus 0.18 towards your recoil stabilization and then negative 0.13 towards your aim down sight speed. Heading down here to a rear grip, you're going to want the Bruin Q900, again for even more sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. So I have this built out. Think of it like a well-rounded choice of weaponry, good at all ranges because of the attachments on it. So with the sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, you're going to want your tuning plus 0.10 towards your recoil steadiness and negative 0.25 towards your sprint to fire speed to help you in those close ranges, of course. Heading all the way over here to an underbarrel, you're going to want the Commando foregrip, giving you recoil stabilization along with aiming idle stability. The main target there is going to be that recoil stabilization. That's going to help you with that side-to-side bounce while you're shooting, and effectively, it's going to keep your recoil nice and low. It's going to keep it shooting a straight line. Your tuning for that attachment is negative 0.41 towards your aim down sight speed and negative 0.13 towards the aim walking speed. For a barrel, this is the most important attachment of the build. The Bruin Tarraco 686 millimeter. This is the attachment I was referring to that really excelled the damage range of the weapon. This is 100% necessary because of the nerfs I was mentioning in Season 1. So we get sound suppression, meaning you get to stay off the minimap, recoil control, helping you in the longer ranges, bullet velocity and damage range. Obviously, those are self-explanatory there. You can see it does kind of ruin a bit of the aiming or the aim down sight speed, the mobility, anything you can think of that has to do with handling mobility does ruin it, but that's why we're adding other attachments to help the cause in the form of that comb and rear grip. Now, the tuning for this attachment is plus 0.45 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.32 towards your aim down sight speed. And our last attachment here is going to be the 1 milliwatt quick fire laser. So this attachment can be interchanged. You can go with the Artemis for aiming stability, again that side to side bounce, the quick fire for aim down sight speed, or even the ULO 66 if you want some hip fire accuracy. It's just going to be a preference at the end of the day. Personally, I like to have a faster aim down sight speed. Your tuning for this one is going to be negative 0.37 towards sprint to fire speed and negative 14.81 towards the aim down sight speed. Here are all of the attachments on the screen. Make sure you guys are copying those down if you want to give it a try. Let's jump over to number 9. So at number 9, I have the MP7 or the Val 46. This weapon is an aggressive player's dream. Yes, it has some faults, being it has some bouncy recoil sometimes. It's not exactly great at longer ranges, but the way I have it built out, it's for very aggressive play, but at the same time, you can take medium range fights with ease because I did keep the recoil nice and low. There's not much more to mention with this one. I love the MP7, one of my favorite weapons in the game. Let's jump into the attachments here. So we're going to be starting this build off with a stock in the Demo RXT. What the Demo RXT does is help the aggressive attributes of the weapon by giving it crouch movement speed, sprint speed, and aim down sight speed. With a weapon like this, you definitely need additions to the weapon in order to make it even more aggressive. Of course, you have the fast fire rate, but having fast mobility and handling is going to be nothing but a positive here. Yes, we're sacrificing a bit of recoil control, but this weapon still shoots a very straight line at medium range. You're not going to want to be shooting all the way across the map with this thing. Definitely avoid that, but at medium range, you can comfortably still take gunfights. Your tuning for this attachment is negative 1.81 towards your aim down sight speed and negative 1.16 towards your aim walking speed. Down here to a rear grip. Once again, it's going to be an aggressive attachment in the Slogger Soldier grip, giving you sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. I already mentioned why we need these type attachments. I feel like I don't need to explain that, but if you want, you can technically swap this out for recoil control if you are struggling a bit. I like my weapon to get up nice and fast, however. Your tuning is plus 0.68 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.26 towards the sprint to fire speed. For the magazine, in my opinion, this is one of the most important attachments of this entire build in the 30-round mag. You can see your large increase to both the handling and mobility. So let's just say, for example, we wanted to go with the 50 round mag. We're sacrificing a little bit, sure, but imagine with the stock 40 what this looks like. Look how much you're gaining by just going with the 30 round mag. In my opinion, makes all the difference, and this is what actually puts it in the top 10 of my personal weapons. The 30 round mag is 100% necessary. I would not recommend going with anything else here. Heading all the way over here to a muzzle, you want the viral 3.5 V3.5 flash hider. That's a tongue twister. We got muzzle flash concealment along with recoil steadiness, meaning we are getting recoil control. That's the primary target of this muzzle. So there's multiple options you can go with here. Personally, I think the flash hider does a very good job here, but if you want even more recoil control, but sacrificing a little bit more aim down sight speed, you can go with the Lockshot KT85. You can see the large increase there, but you can also see you are losing some aim down sight speed in the process. That's exactly why I went with the Spiral V3.5. You're tuning here, negative 0.65 towards your aim down sight speed, plus 0.28 towards the gun kick control. And the last attachment is the Slogger L203 barrel, giving you some additional damage range, which is necessary. The damage range without a barrel on this thing is a little lacking. This definitely helps you in the medium ranges, along with give you bullet velocity, meaning your bullets are just going to connect a little quicker, along with hipfire accuracy. You're tuning plus 0.44 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.32 towards the aim down sight speed there. And we're going to get the attachments on the screen for you guys, so if you didn't get a chance to copy them down, feel free to pause right here, get them copied down. Let's get to the next weapon. So up next, I have the MP5 or the Lockman Sub. The reason I have this over the MP7, it is much better at range. It's still very good at close range, probably not as good as the MP7, but it still does a very good job nonetheless. But the longer range fights are definitely more manageable with this weapon. Another weapon that I would avoid long range fights with, just because it's an SMG, your damage range drop off is extreme and the recoil isn't exactly zero. But we still have a very low recoil pattern with great mobility, meaning you're going to thrive in the close and medium ranges. So starting with a stock, once again, I have the LM stockless mod here. This is the only weapon I end up running the LM stockless on because I feel like it can add attachments in order to make up for the loss to recoil control. So you can see here we are gaining a bunch in the mobility and handling aspects of the weapon, giving you aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. This does chalk your recoil control and accuracy. However, we have a bunch of attachments basically throughout the rest of the build that are going to significantly help this cause. The LM stockless mod is, in my opinion, what really puts the weapon over the top. You need this in order to be competitive at close range, but the other attachments will help you in all of the other aspects here. Now, that attachment cannot be tuned. For a rear grip, you want the Lockman TCG10, giving you base recoil control. We got to make up for what we lost there with the stockless mod, and this is going to be the starting point. Your tuning is negative 0.13 towards aim down sight speed, negative 0.29 towards sprint to fire speed. Now, heading all the way over here to an underbarrel, you're going to want the VX Pineapple Grip. What this does, it gives you a large increase to both your recoil control and accuracy in the forms of recoil steadiness, aim walking steadiness, hip recoil control, and hip fire accuracy. So this attachment helps you in all categories, long range and close range, with the hip fire being the close range and your steadiness in the form of recoil and aim walking being the long range. So this attachment is 100% necessary. If without this, I found that the recoil was far too hard to control. It really keeps it down where it's still shaking side to side a bit, but it definitely significantly helps the cause. Your tuning is negative 0.39 towards hip walking speed and negative 0.40 towards the aim down sight speed. For a muzzle, you want the Bruin Pendulum, another recoil attachment for vertical and horizontal. Again, you can see the large increase to the recoil control with this added attachment here, and it definitely does a very good job of doing so, keeping the recoil very, very manageable. You're tuning negative 0.36 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.35 towards the recoil control. In our last attachment, this is going to significantly help you in the medium ranges. This is the attachment that puts it over the MP7, in my opinion. You get recoil control, which of course we need because of the stockless mod, damage range and bullet velocity, which is significantly more than the barrel we used on the MP7, and then we also get hip fire accuracy. So this attachment, in my opinion, along with the stockless mod, are really the big two that put it over the MP7. But at the same time, there are plenty of builds for this weapon that I've found success with. This one just seems to be the best. Let's get the attachments on the screen for you guys so you can copy those down. Make sure to pause like I had just stated. Let's get over to the next weapon. Now we have the Bryson 800. Don't hate me. A lot of people are using shotguns right now trying to unlock the MX Guardian. And after the buff of this shotgun, it's downright ridiculous how far you can get kills with this thing, both aiming down the sights and hip firing. Before the new shotgun was added, I really wondered why they buffed all the shotguns. It kind of makes sense now. You need to buff them in order to get hype around the new weapons. This thing's ridiculous. I've always been a fan of it. Even since launch, I thought it was the best shotgun. It's a blast to use, especially for those grinding camos or even grinding shipment. I definitely recommend you give this a try. You're going to find nothing but success. You get long shots and close range kills with ease. Let's get into the attachments. So for the stock here, you're going to have two options that do the exact same thing. Really just depends on what you like your weapon to look like. You have the sawed-off mod along with the stockless pistol grip. They both do the same exact thing. They give you aim down, sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control, where you can see the large increase to both mobility and handling. Recoil control really isn't a big deal on shotguns. In my opinion, you don't really need any recoil type attachments. For the guard, you want the Demo X50 tactical pump, giving you rechambering speed, crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed. What we're really chasing here is that rechambering speed, because that increases your fire rate, meaning you pump the weapon much quicker. Definitely a necessary attachment here. You can tune this one negative 0.09 towards crouch movement speed and negative 0.15 towards sprint to fire speed. Heading all the way over here to a muzzle, you're going to want the Bryson choke for the tightest of pellet spreads. Yes, you need to be much more accurate with this attachment, but at the same time, it's going to keep it nice and tight, meaning you're going to get plenty of one-shot kills much more frequently than if you were not running it. Your tuning here is going to be negative 0.05 towards sprint to fire speed, plus 0.21 towards the damage range. For the barrel, you want the rifled barrel, giving you the most amount of damage range increase, along with an even tighter pellet spread and bullet velocity. The big thing here is going to be that damage range, but obviously those other additions are just bonuses there that definitely do a very good job. Your tuning plus 0.23 towards recoil steadiness, plus 0.28 towards the damage range. You can see there, we're maximizing the damage range as much as we possibly can there. Now for a laser sight, the STOVL TAC laser for hip recoil control and hip fire accuracy with zero cons to running it. Personally, I like to aim down the sights with the Bryson 800, but if I get in a close range engagement, this tends to do a good enough job where I'm getting that hip fire kill and still getting one shots with ease, like I had stated. I don't like covering shotguns, to be honest, because I find a lot of the times they're cheesy and they promote camping, but I feel like I haven't run into many campers with shotguns, to be honest, in this game. It's kind of rare. Only time I run into shotguns is on shipment, which, to be fair, that's the best map to be doing it. So this is my best Bryson 800 setup. Let's get the attachments on the screen for you guys. Once again, make sure you guys copy them down. Let's get to the next weapon. I think you guys are going to be a little surprised where this one's at. So we now have the Vaznev 9K. Like I said, some of you may be surprised, but this got a pretty big nerf, actually. The damage range is kind of chalked on this weapon. It's still really good at close range. Of course, they didn't touch any of that, but the damage range is pretty bad now. You have to add some things in order to make it viable, and it's definitely not the best SMG in the game anymore. I don't know what else to say. Unfortunately, they decided to nerf it finally. I love this weapon. It's still pretty good. Obviously, it's still in the top 10, but it's not the best. Argue with me all you want. I've done extensive testing with the thing, and it's definitely not as good as it was before. Let's jump into the attachments you're going to need. Over here with a stock, we have the broadside FCT. Normally, I would go with the Ultrazat stock, but this attachment is now necessary, mainly because of that aim down sight speed gained. You gain aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed. So the Ultrazat stock doesn't sacrifice any recoil control or anything, where this one does. But like I said, the aim down sight speed gained is 100% going to be necessary now. Your tuning, we got plus 0.39 towards aim walking steadiness and negative 0.85 towards the aim walking speed. The rear grip has not changed. You got the True Tech grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. It's been the staple attachment of the weapon ever since the game launched, and that still has not changed. Your tuning is plus 0.84 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.26 towards the sprint to fire speed. For the underbarrel, we have the FSS Shark Fin 90 for aiming idle stability. We don't want to sacrifice any aim down sight speed here, so this is the best option. You can see we have zero cons to running it. Think of it as a placeholder for your tuning, where you're going to want it 0.31 towards aim down sight speed, negative 0.26 towards the aim walking speed. For the muzzle, the Spiral V3.5 flash hider is making an appearance once again for recoil control. I'm going to say the same thing as I did with the MP7. You can go with the Lockshot KT85 here if you want, but you're going to be sacrificing more aim down sight speed than the 3.5 flash hider. I would say it's going to be a preference attachment there. Your tuning is going to be negative 0.61 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.21 towards the gun kick control. And now our last attachment, unfortunately, now has to be a barrel in order to increase the damage range. This barrel gives you the largest increase to that damage range. You can see this is why I needed the broadside FCT stock, because we are sacrificing aim down sight speed, unfortunately. And at the end of the day, that kind of pushes the weapon down the list in itself, meaning it used to be so fast moving, so fast aim down sight speed. Unfortunately, with the damage range now needing a barrel, it kind of pushes it down the list. The damage range does definitely get made up for with the barrel, but it's not as fast paced as it once was. Plus 0.31 towards the recoil steadiness, negative 0.30 towards the aim down sight speed there for the tuning. Here's your attachments. Once again, copy them down, pause the video. Let's get to the next one. It's going to be another surprising. So we got the TAC 56. Don't shoot the messenger. Just like the Vaznev 9K, the damage range got nerfed, and that was one of the biggest positives of this weapon, is the damage range drop off was basically non-existent. So it still has the same medium and close range statistics, but the longer range, it's definitely a couple extra more bullets to kill, meaning it's far less viable. It was already a slow weapon as a whole, and now it just doesn't, now it's slow and it doesn't shoot very far. I don't really actually understand the nerf behind this one. It was, you know, it was good. It was the best AR in the game, but I never considered it overpowered by any means. The other ARs definitely competed with it in certain circumstances. You just had to play to the advantages of the other assault rifles. Unfortunately, it got pushed down the list, and we're going to jump into the attachments. Overall, nothing really changed. So like I just said, nothing really changed with my build. All they did was take the damage range off, and you can't really add any more. So let's start with the stock, the TV Cardinal, aim, walking speed, and sprint speed. Get around the map quicker, but also get that much needed strafing speed, making it harder to hit you at the longer ranges. So that it's, again, I don't think I changed one singular attachment on this build. You're tuning negative 1.42 towards the aim down sight speed, negative 1.93 towards the aim walking speed. For the rear grip, the demo clean shot grip. For sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed to get your gun up quicker. Just because it's slow paced doesn't mean you don't need to get your gun up quickly in case of a long range, or I'm sorry, close range engagement. You're tuning plus 0.32 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.26 towards the sprint to fire speed. Heading all the way over here to an underbarrel, you want the FSS Shark Fin 90. So think of it just like the Vaznev. It's a placeholder. This one I would recommend swapping out if you're still struggling with recoil. However, for the Commando 4 grip or the Edge 47 grip, but I find nothing but success with the Shark Fin, as we're not sacrificing anything in return. And we get to tune this one negative 0.41 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.18 towards the aim walking speed. For the muzzle, the FJX Fulcrum Pro, that's going to be the base of all of your recoil control. Not much really needed to be explained there. You're tuning negative 0.18 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.25 towards recoil control. And the last attachment is the 17.5 inch Tundra Pro, giving you that now much needed damage range along with hipfire accuracy and bullet velocity. This barrel obviously helps the cause at long range, but unfortunately that long range damage is kind of destroyed in my opinion. I believe it's 2 extra bullets to kill after something like 40 meters, which that's kind of ridiculous in a fast TTK game like this. I forgot to go over that tuning, so let me quickly do that. Your tuning is going to be plus 0.15 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.12 towards the aim down sight speed. There are your attachments. Like I said, never really changed anything, but feel free to copy them down. It's still a top 5 weapon for sure. At number 4, we have the newest assault rifle edition of Modern Warfare 2 in the Tempest Razorback. So this weapon cannot be a top 3 weapon in my opinion. It's basically an SMG, but it's an AR. It's good at medium range and close range, but it has a significant damage range drop off, and that's why it's above the TAC 56 in my opinion. It's faster time to killing at close and medium range for sure, which is kind of where the TAC 56 is good at now. This thing's an absolute monster. Super fast fire rate, super low recoil with the right attachments, and super fast aim down sight speed. And obviously, it's not the easiest weapon. It's sort of like the Maddox from Black Ops 4, the FFAR from Black Ops Cold War. It's very good at the ranges it's good at, but very bad at the ones it's not, that being long range. Let's hit these attachments up. Starting here with a comb, you want the LTX Eclipse for sprint to fire speed along with aim down sight speed. Like I said, very good close range weapon. You're going to need attachments to get the gun up even quicker. Your tuning here is plus 0.26 towards recoil stabilization and negative 0.10 towards the aim down sight speed. For a rear grip, you want the FLT22. Again, for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, you can see the large increase to that handling there. That really puts it over the top in my opinion. So your tuning for that one is going to be plus 0.55 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.20 towards your sprint to fire speed. I actually want to discuss this attachment a bit. You can see the sacrifice to the accuracy and recoil control. However, in my experience, I have attachments to control recoil. It's not that bad. It's pretty easy to control, especially if you're not taking super long fights. So keep that in mind. Don't let that really discourage you. For the underbarrel, you want the Edge 47 grip. That's going to be for that primary source of recoil stabilization, along with aiming idle stability. Tuning for that one, negative 0.28 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.13 towards the aim walking speed. Muzzle, the FJX Fulcrum Pro, making an appearance once again. This is going to be your primary source of recoil control, and this is what really makes it good at medium range. You don't really need any more than this, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a self-explanatory attachment. It controls recoil. You're tuning negative 0.52 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.11 towards the recoil control. And the last attachment, I'm going to call this one an optional attachment. If you want to go with an optic or a stock, feel free to do so, but definitely avoid the barrels as it really hits your aim down sight speed significantly. For the laser here, I have the Packbox IV for aim down sight speed. But like I said, optional attachment. This just gets your gun up even quicker than we already had it. So you're tuning there. Negative 0.35 towards sprint to fire speed. Negative 31.26 towards the aim down sight speed. Here are your attachments. Copy them down. Pause the video as always. Let's get to the next weapon. So we now have the MX Guardian. Don't hate me. Don't kill me. Don't threaten me. I'm just here to spread information. I found the meta shotgun setup. It's ridiculous. I mean, shotguns on this game are really only good on shipment, in my opinion, maybe Shoutout. So you don't have to worry about them on normal maps, but I have a feeling this one right here is going to take over shipment, unfortunately. It's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Don't know what they were thinking. It reminds me of peak 725 Modern Warfare 2019 vibes, to be honest with you, or Brecci Black Ops 3 vibes. It's downright ridiculous. Let's get into it. First thing I want to state is that this cannot be the #1 weapon in the game because it has zero viability outside of the shotgun ranges, which that's why it can't be #1. That kind of makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you. It can't be #1 because it's not good at everything, but at close range, what a weapon. So let's start with the trigger action. Yes, you want the semi-auto trigger here. You can see the large increase to the damage. One misconception, it does not increase your damage range. But what it does do is make it much more viable in those damage ranges for a 1-shot, 2-shot, or 3-shot kill. So it's a 1-shot at close range, 2-shot at, I would say, what, 10 meters? And I've even seen people 3-shot up to 22 meters. So that being said, it's definitely the best option here. Think of it like the Brecci from Black Ops 3 or the Gallo from Black Ops Cold War or the Origin 12 from Modern Warfare 2019. Just spam the freaking trigger. Don't aim down the sights. Just spam the trigger. Go down a lane. You're going to absolutely blow people off the map. So heading over here to an underbarrel, because we have a weapon that kind of does kick, you're going to need some recoil control, especially hip recoil control. Normally, you don't have to worry about that with shotguns, as you know, recoil isn't normally a big deal. This one, if you spam the trigger, it does like to kick up, but with this particular attachment in the Merc 4 grip, you don't really have too much of a struggle here. This gives you hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness. Your tuning, we got negative 0.62 towards hip walking speed and plus 0.26 towards your hip fire accuracy. For the muzzle, you want the Bryson improved choke, making the pellet spread tighter, along with give you additional damage range. The tighter pellet spread, yes, you have to be more accurate. I stated it with the Bryson 800, but it keeps the pellets tighter, meaning you're going to be more consistent with the damage you're actually shooting. So tuning for that one, plus 0.11 towards tighter pellet spread, plus 0.24 towards damage range. For the barrel, we have the HYPLM, giving you the most amount of added damage range, along with bullet velocity, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy. This is what puts the weapon over the top, in my opinion, by increasing the damage range that drastically. This is what really makes this weapon a top 3 weapon, in my opinion. This is what makes it more viable than every other shotgun in the game. Obviously, when you add damage range to a shotgun, it just becomes more dangerous. Plus 0.26 towards recoil steadiness, plus 0.18 towards the damage range for that tuning. And the last attachment is the G3.04 laser sight, giving hip recoil control, hip fire accuracy, and sprint to fire speed. Obviously, when you're hip firing, you need all of these things. It's going to make you be much more accurate, especially with the laser pointing right at the enemy. The only downside is they are going to see the laser, but when you're running on a map like Shipment or Shoot House, let's be honest, nobody's really looking out for those lasers. They're just sprinting in a straight line, so it's not really a big deal. Tuning, negative 0.34 towards hip walking speed, negative 27.97 towards the sprint to fire speed. Again, don't hate me for this one. I'm just spreading the information. Maybe it gets nerfed, maybe it doesn't. It's still a fun weapon nonetheless. Have some fun with it on shipment while you can. So at number 2, the ISO 45. Yes, it technically received a nerf, but it's definitely the best SMG in the game, in my opinion. Spoiler alert, I guess. Yes, the #1 weapon is not going to be an SMG, but this is by far the best. I don't know what else to say. I'm sure you've used the thing. Damage monster, close range, has a pretty bad damage range drop off, but no other SMG is beating this thing at close range. I hated it at first, but once I got my attachments down, once I experimented with them, I really, really enjoy it. Let's jump into it. So I'm going to start with an optic in the Slimline Pro. You don't have to run this. Personally, I hate those iron sights. If you want to go with a stock, a magazine, a laser sight, feel free to do so. Personally, I hate these iron sights. So again, I have the Slimline Pro. Run whatever you're comfortable with. My tuning there is negative 2.13 towards aim down sight speed, negative 2.25 towards far. For the rear grip, you're going to want the A30 Stout. For base recoil control, I'm sure you've used it. It has a pretty wild kick to it, so it's definitely necessary to have some recoil type attachments. So tuning, negative 0.29 towards aim down sight speed, negative 0.28 towards the sprint to fire speed. Heading over here to an underbarrel, we have the Bruin Warrior grip, giving you hip fire accuracy, hip recoil control, helping you in the close range. Then we got aim walking steadiness and recoil steadiness, helping you in the long range, keeping your weapon nice and steady, controlling some recoil, but also gaining hip fire accuracy for the close range engagements, where you can just, the hip fire accuracy is pretty good actually on the weapon, even without a laser sight. Tuning, we got negative 0.82 towards hip walking speed, negative 0.19 towards the aim down sight speed. For the muzzle, the Spiral V3.5 flash hider is making an appearance once again, and I'm going to say the same exact thing I did with the other ones. If you need more recoil control, go with the Lockshot KT85. Does a very good job, but the base thing for the muzzle here is we're controlling recoil. Tuning, we got negative 0.23 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.30 towards the gun kick control. Now, the barrel is the most important attachment. The large damage range drop-off makes this weapon kind of a pea shooter at range, but an added barrel here definitely helps the cause. Think of it like the MP7, but it does a better job in my opinion. We get damage range, hipfire accuracy, movement speed, and bullet velocity. The damage range is the big target of this attachment. Your tuning, plus 0.18 towards recoil steadiness, negative 0.31 towards the aim down sight speed. Once again, here's your attachments, copy them down, change the optic if you want, throw it on for something else, but definitely the best SMG in the game. Now, regaining its crown at number 1, we have the M4. What have I been preaching about a number 1 weapon? It's viable at absolutely everything, and the M4 is the weapon that controls the meta right now. After the nerf of the TAC 56, after the nerf of the Vaznev, 100% the M4 is going to be your best weapon in the game. And I say reliable because it's always been a good weapon ever since the game launched, ever since the beta, ever since the alpha. It's been the, in my opinion, the most used weapon in the game, and for good reason. It was never bad whatsoever. You really couldn't build it bad either. It's just that type of weapon. My attachments, though, are going to make it the number 1 weapon for sure. Let's jump into it. Let's get going once again with a stock. For the last time, we have the Demo Fade Pro stock. That's going to give you aim walking speed and sprint speed, but we're not sacrificing recoil control, and that is a big thing here because you obviously don't want to sacrifice recoil control if you're taking long range fights. So that's going to help you not get hit at longer ranges with strafing speed, meaning it's just harder to hit, but we also get around the map a little quicker. No. So tuning, if it lets me, there we go. Negative 2.45 towards aim down sight speed, negative 1.55 towards aim walking speed. Man, I just can't talk. You guys can see it on the screen, copy it down. Down to the rear grip, the X10 grip. I just said we don't want to sacrifice recoil control, but I'm going with the X10 grip, which sacrifices recoil control. You need to get your gun up a little quicker to make it viable at all ranges. It's pretty self-explanatory there. But the thing is with the tuning, you're really not sacrificing any recoil control, just a tiny bit. And we have other attachments to make up for it later on in the build. I have it plus 0.71 towards recoil steadiness and negative 0.45 towards sprint to fire speed. This is the only attachment for aim down sight speed, and it's the only necessary one in my opinion. For the underbarrel, you want the FTAC Ripper 56. You can see that large increase to the accuracy there, and that's the recoil stabilization, along with hipfire accuracy and aiming idle stability. But that recoil stabilization is going to help you with that side-to-side bounce while you're shooting at longer ranges. It's definitely going to make you a much more accurate player. Tuning, negative 0.46 towards aim down sight speed, negative 0.32 towards your aim walking speed. For the muzzle, the Cronin OP44, you can go with the FJX Fulcrum Pro or the Cronin OP44. The Cronin, you can see, does give more recoil control technically than the FJX Fulcrum Pro, but this one sacrifices a tiny bit more aim down sight speed. Honestly, play around with it, use whatever one you want. It's not really a big deal at the end of the day. Tuning, negative 0.44 towards aim down sight speed, plus 0.16 towards the recoil control. And the last attachment is going to be the high tower 20-inch barrel, really increasing that damage range, but we're also getting recoil control, bullet velocity, and hipfire accuracy. This is what makes it very viable at those long ranges, but we also get to keep the recoil nice and low in the process. And let's get through the tuning and I'll talk about it for a second. 0.31 towards aim walking speed, negative 0.28 towards aim down sight speed. I'm going to get the attached on the screen and I'm going to talk about it. So we have low recoil and a great damage range with the added barrel, so makes it viable at long range. We have low recoil, pretty good aim down sight speed, makes it viable at medium range, and we have an extremely fast fire rate, which makes it good at close range. Why would this not be the number 1 weapon in the game? Obviously, the nerfs of the TAC 56 and Vaznev definitely helped push it into this spot, but by far the best weapon in the game in my opinion. Definitely copy these down, definitely give this one a try. So as always with these lists, I want you guys to go down in the comment section and let me know if I missed any weapons. Feel free to give me your top 10 ARs. I want to see, or top 10 weapons. I want to see what everybody's rocking with. Feel free to give me some weapon suggestions, weapon build suggestions. I'll be happy to try them out and give you my feedback as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe with the notification bell as always. Thank you guys again for watching. It means the world. See you guys in the next video.